Thank you guys so much for joining me for another episode of Keeping It Real with America's Supermom. I am excited about my next guest. We actually got to know each other pretty well through Clubhouse. So we would moderate a room together, sometimes 4 times a week, 2 times a week. I don't know, whatever the environment or climate was for Clubhouse. But great man with a lot of wisdom. The thing that I'm excited about is these books that he reads because I am an avid reader as well. But without further ado, I want to introduce Victor Dedaj to you all. And before we get started into some great conversation, I want to give him the opportunity to introduce himself.
Yeah, hello. Thanks for having me on America Supermod. It's been a pleasure being in all those clubhouse groups with you. I've learned a lot, and it's just so much fun to be here. I've been an entrepreneur for 8 years right now, and been an author, a coach, now a marketer, and just love working with people, love helping people. And one of the things I love about this industry is the fact that we can make a big difference in people's lives. It's one of the
I,
greatest feelings out there.
I love that as well. So tell us, where in the world are you located and what really gave you that entrepreneurial bug? Because you have so much knowledge and information. And for many people, when we say network marketing, they're afraid about long hours, no time with family. I mean, we come up with a lot, but then it's like freedom, you have your own schedule. So what was it that really prompted you to kind of take that leap?
Well, first, let me tell you, I'm from New York City, so
Hmm.
that's where I am. I've been here all my life, and I've always had some interest in the industry. I come from a corporate background, and I
Hmm.
worked in the corporate environment for many, many years. And after a while, I started getting tired of it because it became very cutthroat. And I didn't
Mm.
like the way they were treating people. You know, you get pretty good pay. There was definitely good things about it. There were good benefits. So I'm
Hmm.
grateful for the experiences I had in there, but there came a time where it was getting where I just wasn't enjoying myself. I felt I was getting into a rut, and
Mm.
came a point where I got let go from my final job. And frankly, I just said it's all right. I've had enough, and I always had interest in it. I got exposed to it in the past, but I felt like I never had the time to do it. And then now I had the time, and I will definitely tell you one of the things about this industry. For example, if you're a network marketer, is there's a shift in mindset because you come from a corporate background. You
Hmm.
have an employee mindset. You're waiting for someone to tell you what to do. But you go
Hmm.
into something like network marketing, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. But you're basically making all the decisions. You don't have a boss telling you what to do. So
Hmm.
you have to shift that mindset. And for a lot of people, if you come from an employee background, it could take a while to shift that mindset because you're not used to it. You've been doing this for
So
so
true.
many years.
Yeah, I love that. And, I think discipline is something that we always
Mhm.
fall short in, and it's something that we can always work on. I was just recently doing this challenge. Well, we still are. It's a 75-day challenge with a lot of mental things on this checklist of things that we have to do daily. So when you made that transition, what advice would you give somebody about building that muscle for discipline?
Yeah, number one, it is so easy to get distracted because you've
Mhm.
got your TV, your radio, YouTube, you got these videos, your websites. It's so
Mhm.
easy to get distracted. So, number one, I would say you need to, I would just say do time blocks of things you need to
Mhm.
do. So if you're a network marketer, you want to talk to say 20 people, take a lot sometime, whether it's an hour or two, and then you're going to do that, reaching out to people or calling people. Block out the time, say you're going to have nothing else to do. And you should tell your family, I'm going to be busy for the next 2 hours. Please do not disturb me. That's what executives do at work. If they have an important meeting
Mm.
or important work they have to review, they tell their assistant, make sure no one bothers me for the next hour. So you should do that. Number two, I would just say, because it's so easy to get distracted and you have no one to hold you accountable, you should get either an accountability partner, someone you talk to at least several times a week, for about five
Mhm.
minutes, and then you guys talk for about 5 minutes, and you just say, "Did you do the things you were supposed to?" And if you didn't, you don't make any excuses. You just your partner will say, "Well, make sure you do these things for tomorrow." So this person will
Mhm.
hold you accountable. You also might want to get a mentor or a coach, and this person can also hold you accountable. Sort of the way your boss does. Having a that is huge, especially when you get started in this industry. You have no idea what's going on. You're going to make a lot of
Mhm.
mistakes. So a mentor is going to help reduce the number of mistakes you'll make. They'll reduce the time frame needed to become successful. Because if you try to figure it out all on your own, you're going to go through a lot of frustrations, a lot of stress. You're going to sometimes feel like giving up. Whereas a mentor who's been through what you're going through right now can save you from a lot of the pitfalls. You're still going to make some mistakes. We all do. But
Mhm.
you can avoid a lot more with a mentor and a coach. And the person will just say, don't do it. And hopefully it'll be the person who brings you into the company. But if not, you can get someone else. So that is very, very crucial.
Mhm.
Because if you look at the best athletes in the world, whether it's a LeBron James or Serena Williams, any of those athletes, they all have coaches. They have someone guiding them
Mhm.
along the way. They're among the top athletes in the world, but the coaches can see little things in them that they can improve that you yourself cannot. So
Mhm.
we can only see a certain amount of things. A mentor, a coach can tell you how you can improve things, and I think those are two things that are so important. And be persistent. They're going to be ups and your downs, especially when you get started, and just expect there are going to be obstacles. But if you can overcome these obstacles, you become a bigger, better, and stronger person in the long run.
I love that. And, I mean, you brought up so many good points. And I think, these distractions are really a good one because, it is the ability to have that freedom, but not realize that 5 minutes here or 10 minutes there doing something leisure can turn into hours and you look up and the whole day is gone. So when we think about like the income producing activities, because a lot of people are new in network marketing or in this time today, we've dealt with this pandemic. People are not making their normal pay. They're getting another job or, totally changing their career. And so they do have a lot more autonomy. But what are some things that they should be really packing those moments within the day when it comes to income producing activities? Because I think a lot of people feel like, oh, I'm working on my business, I'm doing this. But what are actually the activities they should be focused on?
Yeah, and that's a very good point you bring up, LaChelle, because a lot of people they they wind up being busy instead of productive, and they
Mm-hmm.
think they're doing a lot, but they're not. I mean, I'm on social media all the time, and I can tell you it's so easy to be on Facebook for 10 hours just going through the
Mm-hmm.
feed, scrolling through everything, and all of a sudden you're saying, "Man, where did this day go?" That's why I think it's very a good idea to limit the amount of time you spend, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, or any of the other social media that you use, because you can be busy. You can say, I was busy all day long. I didn't go out. I didn't do anything." But the thing is, what did you accomplish? Did you talk to 20 people? Did you send 20 messages? Did you call 5 people? Did you follow up with 5 people? And you need to keep track of everything that you're doing, because what gets measured gets managed. A lot of people don't keep track of what they're doing in their business. So you got to see, am I reaching out to 20 people or 25? Am I following up with 5 people? Am I calling 5 people? Whatever the things you need to do, you need to do them consistently and keep track of it. Keep a chart of all these things and make sure you're doing these things. And that's where the accountability partner can help you stay accountable. And if you're doing those things, and the other thing I would just recommend is focus more on the process than the outcome, especially in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you might be doing all the right things, but the first few months you may not be getting a lot of results, and it can get frustrating. You can get a little depressed. But you know what? If your mentor is saying you're doing all the right things, keep it up. You know what? You're doing the right process. Eventually, the results will come. Anything great takes a long time to happen. You plant. You cultivate and you harvest. It could take 6 9 months. You don't
Mm-hmm.
plant and reap the harvest the next day. It'll take some months, but you have to work at the harvest and take care of it day in and day out. You have to do the same thing with your business. If you're consistent, if you're following up with people, you're reaching out to them. Maybe a lot of people are saying no, but you're going to get better at this process. If you're consistent,
Mm-hmm.
consistency is huge, and you
Mm-hmm.
follow the process, the results will come. And so I would just say be patient with yourself, because you can't do the right thing over a prolonged period of time and not get results. So I think that's very important. So make sure you're doing those things. And I would just say the important things, the income producing activities, like talking to people, reaching out to them, calling them, following up. do that earlier in the day if possible, because the earlier in the day you get out of the way, the better. Because sometimes people think they could do it in the afternoon, the evenings, and guess what? Life happens. If you have a family, kids problems, you have to pick them up at school. You have to, they get hurt. You have to take them to doctor. Things happen, and
Mhm.
later on in the evening, you might get tired. Most people have more energy in the morning. So I would just say
Mhm.
the income producing activities, do it as early as possible.
I love that. Now, you brought up a good point about, really focusing on the process rather than the outcome. So, what are some things that you could do to build that muscle? Because I think a lot of us are results driven. We have all these videos, TikToks, Instagram stuff that's in our feed where it looks like it's an overnight success or, close to it. So I know that it does take time. And I love the analogy that you mentioned. You can't plant a seed and expect a harvest tomorrow. But what are some things that people can be doing to kind of, build that muscle of being patient and understanding?
Well, like I said, I'll give you one more example. The
Okay.
Les Brown talks about the bamboo tree.
Okay.
The bamboo tree, it grows underground for 4 to 5 years. It's watered and nurtured, but it never goes above ground. In the
Mhm.
fifth year, the bamboo tree, in the span of 2 months, grows 90 feet. Now, did it grow 90 feet in 2 months, or did it take 5 years? It took 5 years of being watered and nurtured. So and a part of the issue is we live in a society where we want everything done yesterday. But everything happens in an instant. You get news instantly. Everything is so instant. 100 years ago, when we were a farming economy, we knew everything took a while. You harvest, you cultivate, you reap. For those moms, you have 15 children. A baby takes 9 months to develop.
Yeah.
Everything great takes some time to develop, and we have to be
Mhm.
patient with it. So that's why I have to say you have to be patient. And I know, and we know in this industry, in most industry, those so-called overnight successes, when you hear their real story, they usually took 3 to 5 to 10 years. In some, very rarely do you hear someone saying, "Oh, I made over six figures my first 6 months here." It does happen, but it's very rare. Most people do not take off in their first year. It usually takes them a little time. They make some mistakes. Sometimes they leave their first company, they go to the second company, and the second company is where things just fall into place. And here's the thing: sometimes for some reason you're doing the right things, and sometimes it might take you 4 or 5 years, whereas for someone else it might take them 2 years. Sometimes there's no good reason for it. It just happens that way, and sometimes it is mistakes you make, but sometimes it's just a matter of timing. And maybe you're just being tested to see, do you really want this bad enough? And
Mhm.
one thing I learned from one of my religion classes is, um, you have this gold, and you really want the gold, but it's in this big pile of mud. Now, to get that gold, you have to get your hands dirty. Are you willing to get your hands
Mhm.
dirty? Now, a lot of people, the answer is yes, but for some people, they say, you know what? I really want to get my hands dirty. That's mud.
Mhm.
So then you have to ask yourself, the people who don't want to get their hands dirty, do they really want the mud? Do they really want the gold badly?
Mhm.
And the answer is, in many cases, no. So sometimes in this industry, you have to go through a lot of mud, a lot of obstacles
Mhm.
and troubles and tribulations. And some people do not want to go through it. They're in their comfort zone, and they want things to be as comfortable as possible. They don't want to deal with all those obstacles. And being an entrepreneur, you're gonna have obstacles and things. You have everything planned, and you're like, oh man, this is gonna happen in the next 3 or 4 months, and boom, something comes up you could not plan for, and then you have to take a detour and
Mhm.
change course, and that's what happens. But you know what? A plane that goes from New York to Los Angeles, it's of course most of the time, but
Mhm.
it makes adjustments, and eventually, 6 hours later, 5 hours later, it lands at the airport of Los Angeles. So you're gonna make adjustments along the way. The important thing is be focused on your goals. You might make adjustments along the way, the things you want to do, and you'll learn it, because you don't know everything when you get started. So you're gonna make tweaks and adjustments. You're gonna say, okay, this is what I need to do differently. This is what I need to do better. Or your coach might say, you know what, maybe you want to do this. You've been doing this well, but now I think you might want to try doing this, and tweak things a little bit.
I love that. And, I mean, to me, I think that's life happening. So, just with this pandemic, we all might have had that 5-year plan, but then we had to carve out 2 years and
Hmm.
counting with this pandemic. So I love that analogy. So when you think about building relationships, doing lead generation, some of these things that you're talking about, what are some tips that you could give people about networking? Because I think, we can be so focused on what our goals are, what our income is that we would like to make, but what are some ways that we can do this in a strategic manner that is not, quote unquote, rubbing people the wrong way or seen as salesy or whatever? So, what advice would you give for that?
Well, one thing I would just say is that in network marketing, this is an industry unlike pretty much any other.
Mm-hmm.
You can only succeed by helping other people succeed. If you're very selfish and you only want to make money by getting people in and you forget all about them, eventually those people are going to quit. No one's going to stay there. You can only become successful by helping the people you bring in become successful, build a team, and help the people underneath them and underneath them several levels deep. If you help them keep building and building, you will be successful. Sometimes people are focused solely on recruiting, and you do have to recruit. That is important, no question about it. But if you're focused solely on recruiting and not helping them afterwards, you're not going to succeed in the long run. You don't just build wide, you also have to build deep. You got to help you got to help the people you sponsor as well. You want to get to the point that the people underneath you don't need to rely on you anymore. They can do it on their own. They can teach the people underneath them to succeed on their own. And when you have something like that, that works all by itself, and you don't have to worry about it, that's where the success comes in. So when you're talking to people, don't have the agenda like I need to make money, because people can read subliminally. If you're desperate for someone, for business, for them to be recruited, you have to have that focus of, I want to help you. I can make a difference in your life. I want to know your needs and desires and how I can serve you. Because when you have that kind of focus, people can sense that. I recommend the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, because it changed my focus as an entrepreneur and as a network marketer. Because I focus on, now how can I help them? What are their needs and desires? I want them to do most of the talking. That's another thing. When you're talking to a prospect, you need to do you have to do 20% of the talking and 80% of the listening, because
Mm-hmm.
people love it when you listen to them talk. But if you do most of the talking, I can tell you from my experience, when I do 80% of the talking, I almost never get anyone to join me. But when I'm doing 80% of the listening, guess what? They love me more, and they will love you more, because they sense that you care about them, that you're truly interested in who they are as a person. And when they sense that you care about them, they're going to be open to anything you have to offer them. They might not necessarily join you, but you know what? You have a good relationship, a good friendship. Maybe things change 6 months or 12 months down the road, which is why follow up is very important, because sometimes it's not the right time in a person's life. I have one friend. His name is Alan Noel. He'll follow up with someone until he sees their name in the obituary, and we'll say, "Wow, that's a lot of follow up." But you know what? This guy has 60,000 ownership, so who could argue with that? He's been very
Right.
successful following up. So a lot of people do not follow up, and that can cost them a lot of business. So follow up is very important. But I would just say the focus needs to be on the other person. You show them that you care, everything changes. Don't have an agenda, because they
Mm.
can read. Prospects are not stupid. They can read. Whether you just want them to, solely for the fact you want to recruit them into your business, or whether you really want to help them and improve their lives, help their family lives, help them have a better future.
I love that. And I love that thing about 80% of the listening. I think that is really key. So, what are some engaging questions that maybe you fall back on, when you talk to someone so that you can get them to doing more talking? Because I think sometimes we're so used to trying to prove what our credentials are, our experience, what we can deliver, and
Mhm.
so we really don't know what questions to ask because we're trying to prove to them that we're a right person for the job rather than even finding out what the job is. So when it comes to being the person who listens 80% of the time, what are some questions we could start asking?
Well, one thing I would recommend doing is try to talk to them as if you're talking to a friend. When you're talking to a friend, it's easy to come up with the questions. If they had a
Mm,
rough day, something going on at work, you would say, "Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. How does that make you feel?" Tell me more.
Mhm.
Oh, you tell me more is a very powerful question, you know,
Mhm.
or or they want to do something. They want to do something with their career. Or they want to do something else. You ask them why. Why questions are very powerful because it
Mhm.
gets them in touch with their emotions. So ask a lot of open-ended questions. If you ask closed-ended questions that are yes or no, they're going to answer yes or no. So ask who, what, where, or why questions are very powerful because it gets them talking more about themselves. Just say, where do you see yourself 3 years from now? Or imagine you are traveling around the world. You're taking your spouse and your kids with you, and you can live anywhere around the world, or you live in this big mansion in Beverly Hills. How would that feel? Do a little dreamscaping. Find out what kind of life that they want, and have them picture because we are ruled by our subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind
Mhm.
thinks in pictures. So if you can have them picture the kind of life that they want, or how would it feel to have this red sports car? Have them imagining it, and because
Mhm.
everyone think, the subconscious mind does 90 to 95% of our decisions, and it thinks only in pictures. So if you get them to picture the kind of life that they want, they're going to be more open to what you have to offer, and after a while you could just ask them. I don't tell them you want to join. I very often I'll just ask them, so how would you like to proceed from here? Where would you like to go? I have them very often tell me, I want to, what do you have for me? So when they ask me that, I
Mhm.
can tell them what I have.
I love that. I mean, I think that is really true because I think oftentimes we wait on them when we're supposed to be the expert, right?
Hmm.
Or the person who is the problem solver, but we're waiting on them to determine when that's going to be. So I love that. So, I mean, this has just been a great conversation. I really appreciate you taking out time because I know that, many people are now really in this place of wondering what to do next when it comes to possibly even converting a side business into something that's going to be full time and going to be the sole source of income with families. And a lot of that is kind of a scary thing related to being your own boss and managing your own schedule and things of that nature. So, when it comes to taking that leap, what are some things that you feel are non-negotiable that someone really needs to kind of really make sure they have mapped out before they do take that leap? Because we have a lot of people, and it could be something as simple as maybe you are having a side business along your 9 to 5, but some things that really kind of help people. I wouldn't say keep life in balance because, hey, as a mother with 10 kids still at home, you never can have complete balance. But what are some of the things that you feel are very important to making sure that you kind of take care of all the areas necessary in order to be successful?
Yeah, so you have to decide. I think first of all, you have to make that commitment. Until you commit to it, nothing changes. You're gonna say, "I'm committing to making this work for the next year at least." Some people get rid of the word "try." Try never
Mhm.
works. We learned that from Star Wars with Yoda. Try just stands for to resist yes, because it sends a message to your subconscious mind that you expect to fail. If you say, "I'm going to try this for a month. If I don't make any money, I'm going to quit," you're already saying, I'm,
Mhm.
I'm not going to be successful in this. So get rid of the word try. Just say, "I'm going to do this. I will get this done. I will succeed." The words you use are very important. You got to get rid of, don't say I can't, I will not. Don't say those words because they make you feel weaker. You got to use the words I am, I can, I will. Those words are empowering words. You will feel it physically. I've
Mhm.
done exercises with this. You spend a minute saying, I can't, I can, I can. And after a minute, you feel so exhausted. And then you do it for a minute saying, I can, I can, I can. You feel so much more powerful. So people don't realize the kind of words you say make a big difference as to what happens to you. You also have to take 100% responsibility for your life. Too many people do
Mhm.
not. They like to blame other people, the circumstance, the government, you name it, they blame it. But
Mhm.
you are ultimately responsible for your success. No one else. People can guide you, your coach can guide you, but you have to take the steps. So take 100% responsibility. Decide you're going to be consistent. You're going to show up day in and day out. If you want to have like big arms like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you can't go once or twice a month. You got to go every week, probably 2 or 3 times a week, consistently over the course of many months. So you're going to be consistent, persistent, and you got to work on your mindset and personal development. That is very important because so many people, they have these mental blocks, these issues with their mind, and until you work on your mindset, you're going to find ways to sabotage your success because almost everyone has these kind of uh, issues with their mind because of what happened when they grew up or when they were exposed to teachers or anyone. They might have become from dysfunctional families, so they learned a lot of negativity. So you need to work on your mindset, surround yourself with successful, positive people. That is hugely important. And you got to work in your personal development day in and day out. And for those who are getting started in network marketing, I would recommend the book, Your First Year in Network Marketing by Mark Carnell. It came out about 20 years ago, but it's still a great book. It will teach you what to expect, the good things that will happen, the bad things, the pitfalls, the
Mhm.
obstacles. And this is something you can also teach your team so that they know when something like this happens, it's to be expected. Because sometimes people come into this industry and they think, I'm going to make $1 million my first month. It never
Mhm.
happens. It almost never happens. But a lot of people,
So
because
true.
they, like you said, because some people, they seem like they're overnight successes. And then sometimes you have these so-called gurus saying, well, I joined this new company and I made, 50,000, 100,000 my first month. What they don't tell you is they've been doing this for 15 years. They have a huge
Right.
following. They probably have an email list of 300,000 people. So when they shoot an email saying, well, I just joined this new company, they're going to probably get, probably
Right.
a lot of people join it because they have a big following. Now, if you have never done this, you're brand new, you don't have that credibility, you don't have that following, it takes time. But
Mhm.
if you're patient, you will eventually get that following. That's why patience, consistency, and persistence is very important. Don't
I
give up
love
on
that.
yourself.
I love that. That is some great advice. And this has been wonderful. Some great, great nuggets. And what is the best way for the audience to get a hold of you? Because, someone might be like, man, I can't get this down fast enough. I need a conversation. And then my final question is, it is International Women's Day. So, what advice was your best advice you ever got from a woman, or something that you would like to share with all the women, whatever is kind of on your heart about that. But first, let us know where we can find you.
All right. So first, if you want to reach out to me, the best ways to reach out to me, you can follow me. You can reach out to me on Facebook,
Hmm.
Victor Dedaj. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm on those two platforms all the time.
Hmm.
Now, I've had a lot of women teach me a lot. My mom, especially. Work hard, believe in yourself. The sky's the limit if you believe in yourself and you apply it to yourself. And I would just say, especially in this industry, I think this is a great industry for women. Women are, I think, about 75% of the network marketers out there. It gives them a lot of flexibility, time with their family, time with their kids, and also to make very big incomes. A lot of women are making 6, 7, 8 figures in this industry. And I can tell you, I've learned a lot of my knowledge from network marketing comes from the female leaders in this industry because they're just amazing because man, the way they're able to balance their family life, they want to spend time with their kids, but yet they're still able to travel and take their families to all
Hmm.
these wonderful vacations. They're living a wonderful lifestyle. And one of the great things about this industry is anyone can do it. If you really want to, it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care about your race, your background, your
Hmm.
gender, if you've been incarcerated or not. Anyone can succeed. So there are no barriers. The only barrier to succeed in this industry is yourself. So I would just say, again, I just love what I've learned from the female leaders in this industry, and happy International Women's Day to all the women out there.
Well, thank you so much, Victor. And this has been a great conversation. And I really am honored to have spent time with you because the advice that you have given is really powerful, and it really can save a lot of people time, money, and peace of mind in the long run. So it's been great. So we want to thank all of you for watching today. And if you have any questions and you feel like, you really need a little bit more insight, feel free to reach out to Victor. He is just one call away, so to speak, on Facebook or LinkedIn. And if you would like to add a comment, a question that you would like answered, feel free to do that also. And we'll be sure that we get those questions over to him. So, again, Victor, thank you so much for your time, and look forward to collaborating with you again soon.
Thank you very much, Michelle. It's been a real pleasure and honor being here on the show with you. I had a great time, and thank you again for having me on.
You are so welcome. And we want to thank all of you for watching, and we will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye.